welcome to Mandobug Crafts, episode 79. What's up, everybody? I'm Amanda, but you may know me on the internet as Mandobug. This is my channel where I share my crafty video blog with you. I'm coming to you from Washington State, where I live with my husband and 2 kids. And this is where I like to show what I've been making and working on, and I like to start out with something I've learned. This week, I have been working on writing up my new pattern for this kids poncho. It's going to be called Dura, which someone had said that this poncho kind of looked like chainmail. And Dura, which is how it's most likely going to be pronounced by everyone, it's actually Dura, which is really hard to say. It's an Arabic word. It, in the right context, can mean armor. And so I thought that that was a perfect name for the pattern. And as I was writing it up, I had to do a little trick to figure out how much yarn is estimated to be needed for the larger sizes, and I thought I would talk about that on the podcast if you guys were interested. So I know how much yarn it took me to make this poncho, obviously, and this is in the smallest size, the 2T size, but I'm writing the pattern to include sizes up to 8, I believe. 2, 4, 5, 6, 8, yes. So up through size 8, and I'm getting ready to send it out to testers, so hey, let me know if you're interested, little tag in there. But anyways, I need a number to give to my testers. How much yarn are you going to need approximately? So one of the ways that you can do that is you need to figure out how much yarn it takes. You can get a yardage to stitch ratio by doing the math on what you created and, you know, yardage divided by number of total stitches in your project. That's a lot of stitches. How do you do that? Excel. Excel is your best friend. I learned that when I was designing my very first garment. My I can't even remember the name of my own pattern. Stained glass mandala vest. When I was designing that pattern, I had my tech editor working on, well, I attempted to tech edit it myself, not really knowing what I was doing, and she went over it and helped me learn more about tech editing patterns, and she was using an Excel spreadsheet for managing the math, and it's an amazing way to do that. So you can make an Excel spreadsheet for each row of the pattern, how many stitches are in the row, and normally with a pattern like this, you have a set of increases each round or each row, and so you can use shortcuts in Excel to make it do the math for you. So I'm not sure how familiar you guys are with Excel, but there is a nice little cheater fill-in function where if you have cells that are showing a pattern, if you go to the bottom right-hand corner of the cell until there's like a thin little plus that shows up, you can click and drag that down the rest of your column or your row, whichever way you want to go, and it will fill in pattern. So if you had 1, 2, 3, you could select 1, 2, 3, get that little plus, drag it down, and it will go 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. It will just continue to count for you. It will also say, in this instance, because this is a square, I've got 4 increases every round. I could do, you know, row 1 is 4, row 2 is 8, you know, and so on. And if I select those 3 that are increasing in multiples of 4 and drag it down, it will continue to increase each cell in multiples of 4 for you. And then you can just use the function to sum the entire row, and you got your stitch count. So I thought that was really awesome, and I thought I would share that with you guys. Thought it might be something that you were interested in. Go ahead and I'm very open to feedback. If you guys were like, no thanks, let me know. If you want more talk about this kind of designing tips and stuff like that, let me know, and I'll continue to share it in my video podcasts here. But yeah, so it was a little trickier for this pattern specifically because I have 2 stitch patterns. I have a lace pattern here that's also duplicated here, and so the yardage to stitch ratio is going to be completely different. So I ended up having to use percentages. Little trickier, we're not going to talk about that, but I think I got a pretty good estimate on how much yardage my testers are going to need. At least I hope. testers are usually pretty good about being flexible on that kind of stuff, and that's why we have them. So thank you if you are a tester. Thank you testers out there, you're amazing. And also let me know if you're interested in this pattern. The written instructions are done, but I'm also going to be charting the lace and just kind of the corners. I'm not sure if I'm going to have just charted instructions that you can follow without written, or supplementary charts to aid the written instruction. Yeah, I'm not sure how I want to do that yet. It takes me longer to write patterns than I'd like, but I think I'm getting better and faster. So moving on to finished objects, I only have 2 finished objects this week, and they are the bags for the giveaway for the make-along that I'm hosting. So currently I'm hosting a Halloween make-along that started on September 1st and is running through October 31st. The details for that are in my Ravelry group, which you can get to by searching Mandobug Crafts, or going down in the description box below and following the link to my show notes, and then it will be linked in the show notes. So one of the bags is this one right here, which, if you remember a couple of videos ago, this was not the original, not my original intention. I had accidentally ironed the interface to what I wanted the interior to be. I went ahead and decided that now this is going to be the exterior because the interfacing really should be on the exterior fabric. It's an open wide zippered pouch with a box bottom, and the inside is this fun little print, which, like I said, was supposed to be on the outside, but it's more like a fun surprise on the inside now. So that is one bag, that is one prize for the make-along. And then I also made the other bag that I'm giving away for the make-along as well. And this one's got little trick-or-treating Draculas and Frankensteins and skeletons and black cats, and it is full-on Halloween fun. And I've got candy corn here as the accent fabric, which I think just goes perfectly. So if you're interested in winning one of these bags, consider joining the Halloween make-along. It's still not too late to join in, and I don't have any minimum requirements. All that I ask is that if you submit a finished work in progress that was started before September 1st, that it was less than halfway completed by September 1st, and you can enter as many projects as you'd like, but you can only win once. So increase your odds, but you can only win once. So that's what I have currently for the make-along. So let's move on to current events, since I'm talking about events, and I'm actually participating in a lot of make-alongs. So one that I've really been enjoying is I've been participating in the sock spackle hosted by Stephanie of the Crafty Garden podcast and Jade of the Sew Perfect Pearls podcast, and this is a spin along knit along for socks. And I showed you my finished yarn last week, and I've now cast it on the socks. Now that I'm digging it out, I did want to mention, if you haven't seen Stephanie's podcast, definitely go check it out. She has actually just launched her yarn dyeing company called Vermont Dye Works, and she has some very, very beautiful stuff in her shop, so definitely go check it out. I am on a pretty strict yarn diet, but it's been very tempting seeing the yarn that she's been putting out, especially the pumpkin spice one. And now she's dyeing fiber too, and that's even worse because I'm probably going to end up buying some fiber. But anyways, here are my socks, and you guys, they almost match up. I am so shocked by this because I roughly split the braid down the middle in half, and it didn't weigh very well, and so I stripped some off of one to try to even it out, which is going to be stripping some color from one more than the other. You know, it's hard, the color management in braids of fiber when you're attempting to do something like this. And then you have to spin consistently to keep so if in an ideal world, if you split the fiber correctly, you also have to spin it correctly to get it to match up perfectly. So it's not an easy feat. And because I had not close yardage on these, I didn't expect them to match up nearly this well. So I cast on with the contrasting black hand spun, and I've just started here knitting these 2 at a time on 40-inch US 3. These are Addy Rockets, and can I just say for a second that I mostly have Knit Picks interchangeable needles, and I've slowly been buying rockets here and there for newer projects when it can fit in the budget. And mostly I've been knitting on this in one other project. The other project has Knit Picks tips, and I find myself like, why are these so dull? Because these rockets are so sharp and fast. I love them. Anyways, that's a total tangent, but these are 40 stitch socks because my handspun did turn out about a sport to DK weight, and they're knitting up super fast. I haven't knit on these a whole ton, but I've really been enjoying it, and they seem to be fitting well so far. So you can see we did pretty good up until about the blue. The blue started jumping off here, and I was still knitting blue here while this one had already turned green, and now I'm a little off between the orange and yellow. And if you look in the yarn cake, there's a little bit of yellow before it gets to the orange, and there's not much pink before it starts going back into orange again. And I thought, how amazing would it be if I split on the pink? If I could make it to the pink, split for the heels, and then go back into like at least a row of pink, I could have like a full color repeat twice in my socks. But I think I have to stop now. And to me, the fit is more important than the way that the colors show up on the socks. So unfortunately, I think I have to split for the heels now. Now, even though these do match up well, I did tell you my yardage was off, which indicates one of these spins is thicker than the other, and that is definitely showing up in the length of the sock. One of these socks is a tad longer than the other. So I'm trying to average where I want my heel to be, not too tight on one but not too loose on the other. I haven't decided if I'm going to knit an extra round on the one that's a little short or not, but the one that's short is the one that's blowing through the color faster, and so that would throw it off even more. So I'm at the point where I need to make a decision. I haven't decided yet, so I will keep you updated when I do decide on what I'm going to do. So I have to take a sip of my coffee this morning. I love this mug. I got it at Walmart, which I know is not the best place to shop, but I do shop there occasionally, and I just couldn't pass this mug up. Good morning, pumpkin. Oh, and it does have a little lid that's not spill proof, but it's nice when you have toddlers. I don't have it on right now, but I've really been enjoying it. And I just have coffee in here this morning, but my mouth's running dry. But it is early in the morning. This is the first time I've ever recorded this early. It's about 8. And I have my third light set up this morning. This is what I was missing when I recorded last week in the evening. When I was showing you guys my stuff up close, I'm like, it's dark. Well, yeah, because my lights are up here. There's no light coming from the back of the camera, which is where my natural light normally comes from. So now I have my third light coming, unfortunately not directly from behind the camera because I can't set that up, but it's like, it's not hovering, it's on a tripod, but it's above the camera. Anyways, total tangents. Other current event, I am currently participating in the West Knits Mystery Shawl Knit Along for 2017. I almost said 2018. 2017. And it is the Speckle and Pop, which I am doing the Speckle and Goth. So if you are participating and you do not want to see a spoiler, please skip ahead or proceed with caution. I am not past Clue 1. Clue 2 came out last Thursday, and Friday, and Clue 3 comes out tomorrow, and I'm like halfway through Clue 1. Clue 1 is massive, you guys. It's just a lot of knitting, and I'm not a monogamous knitter, okay? I'm accepting that about myself. If you're curious, I don't have a lot of large project bags, so I have this in a shopping bag tote, which I don't even know where it came from. It's a Clover Park one, which is a community college in the area, but I never went to Clover Park, and neither did my husband. It may have been something I got from my grandma, because I took all of her grocery shopping bags, but I don't know. Anyways, it's living in that tote. But let me see if I can get this situated. So this is what I have. So here's our cast on edge main color one with stripes of my goth colors, and then it fades into main color 2, and I'm halfway through main color 3 with my needle just in the way there. I'm halfway through main color 3 before I'm gonna start, halfway through the solid, gonna do the other half of this solid and then start striping it into main color 3. So main color 3 is going to be this gorgeous blue. So this is Dream in Color Smushy with Cashmere in the Blue Peacock colorway. And so I'm really loving the colors I chose. I'm really loving the way this turned out. I'm loving the size, I'm loving the gauge. I'm just not loving how large the clues are for the weeks. So I definitely know I'm not going to finish on time, but I can tell, even though the shawl's not finished yet, I can tell that once this pattern is released after the knit along and I hadn't participated, that I would be knitting it anyways. So I'm kind of looking at it that way. So even if I fail at the knit along, I still would have made the shawl eventually anyways, and so when I finish it doesn't really matter. What matters is that I'm knitting it and that I love it. Just try not to pressure myself for time, because this is a gorgeous, gorgeous shawl. I'm not looking forward to weaving in all the ends because these little, they're not pops of color in mine. I mean, they are on the original, and getting this close with my light, if I can get that working yarn out of the way, you can see that those dark stripes are actually black colors. So there's a dark pinky purple, or pinky black, a purple black, a green black, a red black, and a solid black. So it does give a lot of dimension up close, but from afar it looks black, which I like. So those gothy black colors was a mini skein set from Knitty & Garden called Goth Garden. Did I say Knitty & Garden? Knitty & Color called Goth Garden, and I'm not sure that's when she dies anymore. And the other two colors were Schmutzarella yarns in her Dude Base colorway Ouch, and the other was Squish Fiber Arts. Don't remember the colorway. It'll be linked in on my project page. So moving on to works in progress, I only have sewing from here on. I had only been knitting on those two projects. That West Knits Mystery Knit Along is a lot of knitting, and that's what I mostly dedicated my time to. Because honestly, those socks are working up so quickly, it's not even, doesn't even count. But I've been working on a lot of sewing projects, so I've continued my quest into sewing the bassinet. I have been getting up early in the mornings to beat my kids to awake, but sometimes they wake up early and they cut into my time, but it has worked a couple days. I have attached the pink fabric now for the upper lining, and after that I have to decide what kind of fabric I'm going to do for the kind of archway of the bassinet. I'm not sure yet because I think I don't have enough fabric to do that. I underestimated how much fabric I was going to need to cover this bassinet. So we may be running out to get more of the same print, or finding a nice coordinating print, or possibly a solid that I have in my fabric stash. So we'll see how that goes, but I did run out of white thread. So, so I woke the kids up and I couldn't work on that anymore, but I decided to attempt to do the blanket that she got the fabric for. That's when I ran out of white thread. So this is just a cute little sea animal print that she picked out. It's got little seahorses and jellyfish and starfish and sharks and stuff, and this cute, soft, minky-like backing on it. And all I did was lay it out, cut it out. I kind of used a plate to curve the corners. It's not exact. And I just did like a 1/2 inch seam allowance around the whole thing, turned it. Now it needs to be pressed, top stitched around the edge, and I need to hand sew my little gap where I turned it. But I did. I ran out of white thread, so I had to pause on that project. I do now have more white thread, but I haven't gotten a chance to work on it yet. Then the other sewing project that I decided to work on since I was out of white thread was the onesie that I'm going to be making for her. So this is Simplicity 8030, and I'm making the D option. It's like a onesie with little ears on the hood. So we picked out this fun fur, which it's going to crinkle because the pattern is still, the pattern is still pinned to the pieces that I cut out, but it's like this fun fur that was the closest to looking like a moose. So that is the end goal for this project, and the fibers are making my nose itch. So that is the end goal with this little onesie, is to make it look like a moose. So instead of bear ears, I'm going to be attempting to draft my own pattern at some stuffed moose ears, and this pattern is a lot of fun. I don't know if you can tell, if I get really close up here, on the front one you can see that this onesie has those hand covers, which if you have children, you know, those are like the best things ever starting out, because if other people's kids are anything like my kids were, they just scratch at their face and cut it all up. So I loved the onesies that had the little mitt covers built into them, and I think this will be a really fun technique to learn how to do if I ever sew regular onesies again. I could probably build that technique into the other onesie pattern that I have. So I'm really excited to get into this pattern. I've cut out all of the pieces in the fun fur, which was not easy. So I'm looking forward to cutting it out in the knit lining, because this will be much easier to pin and cut and see. I'm very interested to see how my machine deals with sewing this project. I may have to invest in a walking foot. I feel like every sewer needs a walking foot, or, I mean, even if you just quilt. I think that's what they're mostly for, is quilting. Any area where you have a lot of layers of thick fabric, or that fun fur, which is just thick in general. Little something to help ease everything through. So I'm going to try without, but if it does start to mess up, I will just go ahead and get myself a walking foot, because it's a nice little tool in the craft bag. So that's all I've been working on for works in progress. Moving on to check it out, you guys. So I know I'm talking about my strict budget here, but I couldn't help myself. I normally don't buy project bags. If you've noticed, I don't have a ton, and the ones I have are mostly made by me. And the few that I have were part of kits, like clubs is what I meant to say. We're part of clubs where you get yarn and a project bag. But my good friend Katie, who lives down in Georgia, I worked with her husband and met her through him, and she's just an awesome person, very crafty, and she went to school for art and children's education, and she has an eye, you guys. She just has an eye that I don't have, and so I had to purchase these project bags from her because I knew that they were going to be amazing. So Katie has a Etsy store called The Kate Stitch, and you can follow her on Instagram at The Kate Stitch as well. I'll have all this linked in my show notes, and you can kind of check out some of the other bags that she's made as well. But I mean, she follows a pattern for the bags, I believe, but as far as the piecing goes, that's all her. And like I said, she's really got an eye for it. She's really got an artist's eye, and I'm super jealous because I don't have that. I can follow a pattern, but sometimes, at least with piecing, I feel like I am a little more creative in the designing realm, but not with fabric and piecing and quilting. I just don't think that I have that eye, and she does. So I gave her two themes. I told her I want a Halloween bag, and this is what she came up with. This is amazing. So if you look up close, she machine quilted, but she also hand quilted some of it. Oh, this one doesn't have hand quilting on it. This one's all machine quilted. And here's the lining. And of course, it's all wrinkled from me. But this one has hand stitching on it, which is just amazing. So the other one, I told her I want a pumpkin bag. And so she hand stitched that pumpkin on there and cut out those appliques and hand appliqued them on. She also, I don't even know if you can see that. Then she also added these cute little fall buttons down the back. Oh, did I miss this part too? She did some cute running stitches as well. So the detail is there, the aesthetic is there. She just overall has very cute, unique bags, and I think she's very skilled and talented in what she does. So I had to get these, and I am so glad I did. I could never come up with this kind of stuff in my entire life, probably. So, oh, I didn't show you the lining on this one. It's a cute little yellow lining. So I wanted to share that with you guys, and I was talking to her, and there may be a little giveaway for you guys in the works. So if you really like her style as much as I do, it sounds like I will be getting a little pouch to give away to you guys possibly, so I will keep you updated on that. Moving on to Let's Chat. So I have actually taken notes this week because every week I get up here to talk or every other week when I get up here to talk to you guys in front of the camera, I forget what I did since the last time I recorded. This week I took notes, short notes, and I didn't stress about them, but I did kind of jog down what I did during the day, each day, which is great because now I'm not missing anything. Where last week I forgot to tell you about Stephanie launching her store, which I wanted to tell you. I also forgot to tell you about shearing day. I don't know how it slipped my mind, but it did. Maybe it's just because I was tired last week recording it right before bedtime. But 2 weeks ago, almost 3 weeks ago maybe now, Lori had her babies sheared. So a couple of her sheep had little babies in the springtime, and the last year when her babies were born, she didn't get them sheared in the fall. She waited until the next spring when all of her sheep got shorn, and some of them had to get tossed. So this time she's like, yeah, I'm gonna play it safe, and I'm gonna take the wool now. I think it's long enough. And thank goodness that she did, because the baby lamb fleeces that she got were small, but amazing. They are so soft, and they're definitely long enough to work with. I wouldn't try to comb them, but they're not very dirty because it hasn't even been fall or wet or muddy yet, and they haven't even been alive that long. So they were super clean fleeces, long enough to drum card. And Frango, who actually had the softest fleece out of all the babies, Lori has started processing and spinning his wool into yarn. It is just amazing. These sheep are little Shetland sheep, which they have a range of softness and fineness in their breed. And like I said, Frango is a very, very nice Shetland fleece. So she's been working on that while I was up there as she was washing and carding. I did a little bit of more carding on my Jacob fleece, and it was kind of, the Jacob fleece is like almost a 5-inch staple, but it had like some second cuts, and it got a little neppy. So after I had carded it into a bat, I had sent it through the drum carder like 3 times. I just wasn't happy with it, so I asked Lori to bring out her hackles, and I said, we're gonna comb this. And so I threw it on the hackles, and that works great to get those little neps out. It is a lot of work. It can be a little difficult on the hands, especially when there's a good amount of lanolin still in the wool. I didn't wash a ton of lanolin out of my Jacob fleece because I had over scoured the BFL fleeces previous to washing the Jacob fleece, and I was afraid of taking out too much, and that time I had not taken out enough, so it was really kind of difficult to separate, but it does feel nice, and I am happy with the quality. So I left all that up at her house though, so I don't have that to show you, just because it does take a while to process enough to even spin. So I just kind of left it with her because I leave my drum carder over there. She gets to use it more than I do because it's not super safe around the kids. So that happened, and what else? Oh, so while I was over there for fleece processing day, which was like the weekend after shearing day, Lori had to get this off her wheel so that she could start spinning Frango's bats, and oh my goodness, I said, I have to have that, can I have it? And she thought about it and eventually gave it to me. So these were some bats that we made together. This is, I think it's some wool that she had already processed with some of her BFL fleece that I got from her and washed and dyed orange. And then there's also some Angelina in here. I don't know if the Angelina is picking up at all. That's why I'm trying to turn it to see if it can pick up the Angelina at all. I'm not sure that it is, but I said, can I have it? I don't know how many yards it is. It looks like it's a nice fat worsted Aran weight. I'll probably have to knit it with something else, but I just had to have it, and I'm so thankful that she gave it to me. But Lori is the best mother-in-law I could have ever asked for, and we have so much fun together. you know, there is the age difference, but we're like best friends. And it was her birthday last week, and so there were a lot of little birthday things going on, and one of the things was a wine and paint night that I did with her and another friend of hers, and it was so much fun. It was at this place called Pinot's Palette, and it was for this cute little painting right here. I don't think that I can get it all in frame, but I had so much fun painting this with them. I did have 2 glasses of wine, which is more than I usually drink. So by the time the second glass came, because it was bought by her friend, I was like, oh, thanks, you can't turn that down. And so by the time the second glass came, I had to slow down because I was having a hard time painting. It's like, okay, this brush isn't quite going where I want it to, and I do want to hang this painting in my kitchen. But it was just so much fun, and there was music, there were a lot of people in the class, everyone was having a great time. I'm really looking forward to going back, and they do a giveaway on their Facebook page. So they're in Puyallup, Washington. If you happen to be in the local area, go ahead and like their Facebook page, because every week they do a giveaway. You just comment, pick me, and tag a friend to get entered for a free seat in a class, and guess who won the first time entering? Yes, I won their giveaway, so I'm looking forward to going back for a free class. I haven't decided which one yet. I'm going to try to collaborate with Lori because I definitely want to go back with her, and also invite some more friends. It's just a fun thing to do with other people, so if you haven't tried it out yet, I definitely recommend it. Everyone's painting turned out great despite the different skill levels in the class. Some of the paintings look difficult, but they use pretty basic techniques so that everyone's painting will turn out great. So there was that, and then I think that was all I wanted to talk about. That's all that's on my list. I don't see anything else on my table. The only thing I'd like to mention before the end of the podcast, because some people ask, what I'm wearing. So this is Dark and Stormy by Thea Coleman. I knit it out of Blue Moon Fiber Arts Targhee Worsted, which is an amazing yarn, by the way. This is the deep unrelenting gray colorway, and you can't see, but it's got awesome cables down the, let me see if I'll just turn around here. Awesome cables down the back. That's what sold me on this pattern, and I knit it while I was pregnant with, well, I think I started it when I was pregnant with my daughter and didn't finish it until I was pregnant with my son. My kids are only a year apart, so that's not too bad, but still. So I was much larger than I am now, and so I knit it larger, but you can never like stop wearing an oversized cardigan. Like, it's just the comfy fall winter, like throw it on and it's kind of like wearing a blanket. It's like a Snuggie but better. So that's what I'm wearing, and what you can't see, I'm wearing my Halloween socks. I knit these Halloween socks last year, and they are Walking with the Ghost by Knitty & Color. She is a Halloween fanatic just like I am. Check out her Halloween colorways. They are the best. I didn't say that, but I did. Because really, I love her dyes, and I love her Halloween colorways. So yeah, that is all I have to talk about this week. Thanks for sitting and chatting with me, and I hope you liked this episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up or share. Sharing is always great. Let others know that I have a podcast. And until next time, guys, happy crafting. Bye!